right, I think we're just going to start. My mother will be down in a minute, but it's 11:41. We're going to call the meeting to order. I think we're just going to start. My mother will be down in a minute. I'm going to ask Reverend Marietta for it's 11:41 prayer. We're going to call the meeting to order. I think we're just going to start.
Shall we come together in prayer? God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that. Shall we come together, committee members that prepared, God, for such a time as this, thank you for the congregational meeting. Committee members that we thank you for all members that are present in person and online. As God continues to move us and transition us into a new year and online. As God, we ask that you continue to be with us, transition us into a new year and online. We offer up this prayer in Jesus' name, and together we say amen. Into a new year and online. We offer up this prayer in Jesus' name, and together we say amen. Into a new year and online. We offer up this prayer in Jesus' name, and together we say amen. Into a new year and online. We offer up this prayer in Jesus' name, and together we say amen. Into a new year and online. We offer up this prayer in Jesus' name, and together we say amen. We offer up this prayer in Jesus' name. Everybody's got a copy of the minutes from the January 28th meeting. It's the pink paper. Everybody's got a copy of the minutes from the January meeting. I see an error that we just need to correct. It is, 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say the fourth paragraph that begins with new business. The last sentence, it says, Reverend Fair. Correct the spelling of Reverend. Will also help with a service earlier in, is that supposed to be the day? Thank you.
Did anyone else have any other changes? It was during the water. When we were having the water problem in the hall, we were just saying that we could have it at another location. Yeah.
Shall we then put, if for some reason we need to close the church during the water emergency?
Yes, that's fine. If you could add that to the.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other correction, I'm going to make a motion to accept the minutes with the changes. Okay, and Travis seconded it, Alyssa. Now it's going to be Calvin for the financial report for this year.
Okay, good morning. My name's Cal Gunlack. I'm the financial secretary and vice president here at the church. I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to sort of breeze through this because of the length of this meeting. I really want to spend a lot more time on this, but like I say, I'm going to breeze through this. The first sheet I'm going to talk about is this white sheet here. It's the budget through October the 31st of this year. And On the back page is all the checks I wrote up for the month. And how this works is, the reason I don't have November's done, but the way a month ended, last Monday I closed out the books, and then Tuesday I went over to our financial expert's house, and we went over everything on the sheet. Every bill that I wrote up, she goes over and she comes up with this, and she puts it in the right category. So on the first page here, it shows all our financial wealth, and we're doing quite well. It shows everything that I have in the checking account, the endowment, PNC account, and we come up with $529,433. That's a lot of money, so we're sitting pretty good. Now, on the next page, I'm starting off with the operating income. We're averaging about 36 people a service, and we're doing pretty good. We're meeting our goals so far, but if it wasn't for the parsonage, we would be up the creek right now. The parsonage is saving us. Now, the next category, all the expenses, the salaries and so on, everything's hitting right on the money. Now, maintenance, we're over on that. We had budgeted $10,000, we're up to $23,000. For example, in October, we had to spend $3,200 with Milton Electric making repairs down here. And I'm not going to go into all that because I don't want to steal the thunder from Travis. He'll be talking about that. The next page, page 2 of 2, everything falls right into place. And our benevolences, that's money that we give the extra outfits that do it good for the Lord. And they're all paid up. In fact, I paid them up in November, so we're paid up through the end of the year. Now, at the bottom here, it says net income less expenses. As of the end of October, we're $40,908 in the hole. That means we spent more than what we took in. And now for the end of November, I estimate we're down $50,000. And then next, if you can look at this sheet here, this single sheet I made out with all the improvements we made this year, you can see for all the improvements, we spent $32,631 so far. So that explains why we're down $40,000 at the end of October. And there again, I don't want to get into that. I'll let Travis explain that. Okay, the other thing is, me and Jennifer and Holly count the money, and we always like nice contributions when they come in. And I want to thank the Ralph family because they gave us a nice contribution for this week, so thank you for that. And the whole problem is around here, for us to really make it, we need more members and more givings. With the money we got now, if we just go along at this pace, I figure we got 11 and a half years left. So that's all I got to say on the budget so far this year. And I'm going to be around here after the meeting if anybody's got any questions. And if not, I'd like to move on. Is that okay? Or
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So we put out the $300 for the gifts, and then, you know, we get the donations back in, so it's kind of a wash for that. Yeah. Miss May, did you have a question? Okay.
all right, and then there again, you know, you can take us home and, you know, look over it, and I'm here every Sunday. You can ask me questions. Now, I got two other items to talk about. The next is the budget for next year. I sat down and prepared this, and I got a committee of Joanne Johnson, Barb Matthews, Jennifer, and they gave me their blessing on this, and I presented this to the council last month, and they gave me their blessing. I just want to briefly go over it. It's a high budget, but I looked at it, and the last time I was involved with this was about 6 years ago before I had to get off the council to take care of my mother. We cut everywhere we could. And you get to a point where you just can't cut anymore, or the church just can't run. So I cut everywhere I can on this. For income, we're going to be doing okay there, with, like I told you, with the amount of people we got. And When I run out of money, I want to thank Susan, Rail, Joanne, and Barb, because I had to borrow $30,000 to keep paying the bills here. And then Jennifer got me money out too from PNC Bank. So I should be all right. I shouldn't have to ask for any more money till about October. All right, now salaries. And what I did with this, I condensed this. I made it easier than what our CPA does. Here's all our salaries for next year. I also discovered that we haven't given out any cost of living increases or increases for our employees. So we're going to give a 2.5% cost of living increase to all our employees. And it's not going to be much. For example, Abby, our secretary, you can see she's only going to get about $400 or $500 more a month. A year, I'm sorry. Thanks for keeping me straight. Okay. Now, office expenses, all that stays the same. Now, maintenance, that's going to be high. You can see how high that figure is. I got $35,000 for repairs coming up. There's a lot that's got to be done around here, like the church steps out there. We're going to have to get all new steps because the women that wear their high heels are going to get caught in that one day. We got to get new steps. We got to get new windows here in the church hall. And we're hoping that we're going to get some grants to take care of this, but I don't know. So I was playing around with all that in my head, and I figured that's the figure we're going to need, $35,000. The next category, all the programming. In the past, the media ministry, we never had a budget for that. We always paid that with benevolence money. But this year I want a true budget, so I got them in the budget, and the benevolence is still going to help out with this. Endowment, okay. And the benevolences, that all stays the same except for the Salvation Army. We added that in because they do a lot of good. So that is the budget that I and the council will propose for next year, and I hope you agree with it. And if you vote on it today, we can always make changes in January at our congregational meeting. So does anybody have any questions on this?
Everybody, please put your input in.
And we're hoping that we get a lot of grant money, like he said, this year from the Reverend Marietta's been working very hard with the FEMA grant, and that is due this week. But we have everybody's, if anybody has any like ideas for that also, please get them to Reverend Marietta as soon as possible. We've been working on, like I say, getting a list together and proposals and anything that we can get them to pay for or help with, then obviously we're going to do that. So we did get a partial grant for the windows for down in the hall, but we have that on the list for the balance of that thing. You know, there's a lot of things on the list, so we're hoping that this will be a lot less.
Yes, it's all under there because it's under safety. Safety, yes.
Yeah, and part of the lighting, we have a proposal from, like, if you ride through Canton, let me see that one. If you ride through Canton at night, you see all the lighting outside. We have a proposal for that they had done, I think it was last year, to do this also. So that'll help with the lighting. We also have something for like cameras. There's, like I said, there's a whole list of things. The steps, that's a hazard, so that's a safety issue. So like I said, there's a lot of different things on the list that we have put together that, you know, we're hoping it's a, you know, some of it might be a wish list, but if we can get help with it, then we're trying to add everything on the list. So like I said, if anybody has any more things that they can think of. Like I said, we have a lot of different things, and Travis has been working hard to get proposals on everything because we have to have a proposal for each one of the items. So, Susan, you had something?
Yeah, so on the under the income, for the endowment distribution discretion, the 20,000, does that just the extra money you took out, or does that include the regular endowment?
We made 3 withdrawals. Let me look at yours a minute.
We
4, okay.
The normal withdrawal, which was for the actual endowment.
Right,
And then I just checked the account to make sure. We took out 20,000 in July, then we took out another 10,000 in September,
right,
and then we took out another 30,000 in November.
right.
Now, I know the November one's not on there yet.
Right, that's because PM or CPA is still working this up.
Right, and I get that, but even above that 30,000 that we took out in November, we've withdrawn $47 this year. Like I said, we did 20,000 in July, 10,000 in September, and then the 10,047 that was our normal distribution.
Right, right.
Can you give that total again, the 40,000?
20,000 in July, 10,000 in September.
I had to double check I had to get online and double check the thing, but we took, so that was our normal distribution. That for the, the tech salaries, and that was what we used. We had 10,500 available, we used 10,047.
I agree.
Okay, then in July, we took out 20,000.
To help me out, I agree.
Right, and then in September, we took out another 10,000
To help me out, I
to
agree.
help you out. And then in November, which isn't on this yet.
Right.
We took out another 30,000.
Right,
So this number through September should at least be 30,000, even if you don't count the normal distribution.
Yes.
yes, I agree. Okay,
So it should either be 30,000 or it should be 40,047.
right,
One or
okay,
the other.
right.
I'm not sure if the normal distribution gets counted in there or not.
Yes, it does. And then in January, I'll have a complete up-to-date
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure.
financial.
Thank you.
And I do have a question, Brother Calvin. I know at our congregational meeting, you had mentioned that there were some issues that we had regarding the taxes on the parsonage.
Right.
Can you explain that for us?
That was my third thing I'm going to bring up now. Okay. All right, we got to pay property taxes on the parsonage because when Pastor Oatman moved out, that's the law. You got to pay property taxes. We were tax exempt, so we pay $3,700 a year. And for all the good I do down here, I discovered I made a mistake. I let something get by me. When I was preparing the budget, I noticed we never paid no property taxes for the parsonage this year and last year. So I rolled it up on the computer, 945, and no taxes come up. So I came down here, did an investigation, and I found out that 3 years ago, Arlene Pate, who had the job before me, went to Pastor Kathy, and they had to pull it off of the computer, but it was billed to 945. And Arlene kept good notes, and she never got no billing either, no notice. So then I investigated more, and I found that this went back to 2017. We never got any mailings on this. So I came home, and I rolled up on the computer 925 Southeast Avenue, and there it is. We got to pay the property taxes, $3,700 for 1 year and then for the other year. But we got fines. We got to pay about $800 2 years ago, and it's about $500 this year so far. And I take the blame for that. It happened on my watch. So, but then I discovered something else, and they say everything happens for a reason. I discovered next to that, we owe $33,000 for church taxes 2 years ago, $33,000 this year, plus fines of like $7,000 and $5,000 so far. And I'm like, how did this happen? We're tax exempt. So I was going to go to Zeke Cohen. He lives up the street, our new city council president. I know Luke Clippinger. So I just sat back and I figured, well, how can I solve this? So I called the city up. They said it was my fault because they mailed out everything. I said, no, we never got nothing. But then they messed up. They told me it was the state's fault. So I called the state up. Now, I've been working on this for 2 months, and it's a battle. So I called the state up, and we've been going back and forth a couple days a week. And I called them this Friday, and then they called me back, and I'll give you the news after that. But anyway, the problem is the city messed up, and the church, the lawyer that we got involved to sell the Sunday school building, he messed up and filed wrong paperwork, and then the state messed up. And the state told me that because the city messed up and our lawyer messed up, they dropped their tax deferred status. So I've been working on that for the past 2 months, and it's so bad, I'm involved with a case adjuster now. But this case adjuster called me Friday. He goes, we're getting close. We're going in for the kill. We're going to take care of you. I'm going to call you Wednesday or Friday of this week, and hopefully we'll have it solved. But I'm not going to say nothing to nobody yet until we get it solved and I see a bill in front of me. So as soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know, and that's the problem that I'm solving. Does anybody have any questions?
And we're not going to have, is it on?
Well,
So we shouldn't have to pay the $33,000 for the church because we are tax exempt. So they're working on making that retroactive back to when we sold the Sunday school building. And then also they're going to see about maybe not having, because they see that they sent the bill out, but it got sent back to the post office. So they see that we did not get that bill, for the parsonage taxes. So they're also, he said that they were also going to check and see if we can get some of the fines that for not paying it taken off of it also. Yes, sir.
Just a friendly suggestion, possibly contacting the Central Atlantic Conference office, because they have, most conferences have an attorney that represents the conference and the conference churches.
Okay.
So you might already have legal coverage through the conference. That's one thing. Secondly, even if you don't have your own tax exempt status, being part of the conference and the United Church of Christ, you can tap into the blanket tax exemption of the conference. That you might want to contact them and see what they can do to help.
All right. Thank you.
This whole tax exempt status got messed up when the building next door was sold. Our attorney and the attorney for the builder, somehow, and when they did what they did, we lost our tax exempt status. And that's what Calvin's been working to get us back. We're not currently tax exempt, correct?
Right.
And this still may take a few more months.
But hopefully it'll be resolved this week.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I should go on more about this, but I'll be here the next hour or so. But it's very complicated, and I am going in for the kill now, hopefully. So, and thank you, Reverend Fair, for your input.
And thank you for everything that you're doing for it.
Can we give Brother Calvin a hand praise, because he's been working hard.
Yes, thank you to
and
Rob
very
and
faithful.
Calvin both.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Central Atlantic Conference.
Central Atlantic Conference.
Yes, yes. They have legal counsel through the Central Atlantic Conference that we can probably tap into.
Okay, thank you.
So, if nobody else has any questions about the budget for 2025, if we could take a vote, if everybody who is for the budget, please raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Anyone online opposed? They're just a few seconds behind, though. All right, I don't have any, nobody is opposed online. Nettie is for, okay. So we don't have any opposed. So we're going to accept the budget as presented. And like I said, everybody pray that we can get a lot of grant money this year and ongoing. I just want to give thank Calvin and thank everybody, but I want to let Travis talk a few minutes about the list that everybody has about things that we've done at the church. One part of the reason why we've had to borrow so much money from the endowment this year, because we've had a lot of things that have broken or needed repair that we needed to do that, and this is all in hopes that we can start using the church for more events, for having it help us make money for the church, being able to rent the hall. We have all the permits now to do that. We have all the, everything that we need for the hall, for the sanctuary. So I'm going to give the mic to Travis for a few minutes to speak about that.
Okay, let's go all the way back to January. We had the church's insurance company did a walkthrough of the church, and they had recommendations for things that they wanted to see fixed, which we took it as we have to fix it. And one of those things was the breaker box in the boiler room had Federal Pacific breakers. They're old and antiquated, and if you had to replace a breaker, let's just say a 15-amp breaker, it would be about $1.50 for one breaker. So it was switched over to, I think, a Cutler hammer box, $5 and $7 breakers. Then we had a water heater go up. That was $4,000 something from A.J. Michaels. We also had the gas manifold on the boiler go up, and that was I think that was $2,000 something. Oh no, to $719. The Harris fire protection stuff was the fire extinguishers. Replacing 2 of them, they said, were outdated. A.J. Michaels also replaced the upflow on the basement handicap toilet. That pump went bad. They had to replace that. That was almost an all-day job for them. Very, 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 very smelly job. Who's Future Innovations? Is that Dean? Yes. All right. Dean from Future Renovations did the push bar, the green exit bar, the magnets, and all on the front door for security, and the security pad, plus the two monitors, one in Abby's office and one in Pastor's office. Milton Electric. We needed increased lighting in here, and all these lights hanging in the middle all have brand new bulbs in them to brighten it up. Also, down in the dining hall, they've replaced 6 ceiling fans. So now we can actually get them. Pardon me? Yes. And all the 4-foot lights were replaced. And also, the stairway going to the boys and girls bathroom, the lights in that hallway were replaced, and in the back stairway, those lights were replaced. And also in the Whiskey room, 2 4-foot lights were put in there. And also per the fire marshal, he failed back here for electrical issues. We had new receptacles, new wiring run down from the kitchen up here to make it code for them. And we also had the Harris Fire do the kitchen because the fire marshal failed the filters in the range hood. And he did get a little attitude because it wasn't done in a timely manner, but it was Harris ordering them. Then they said I didn't order them. Then I had to go there in person, and they found it. And then they said it would be another 2 weeks, and they were here actually 3 days later to do that. Now we're going to wait for the fire marshal to come back. and do another walkthrough. Oh, yeah, and the Knox box, Dennis Moran and Sons. We had them come out and install the Knox box so the fire marshal would get off our back. The Knox box is the keys to the church. We were told if we didn't put a Knox box up, that they will take an axe to the door if there's a fire. Even if there's a fire in the next building, they will come right through the doors. And so we went and got the Knox box. The first one we bought wasn't sufficient. It was a $30 one. I hung it out front, and then when he did his re-inspection, he said, no, that's not what he wanted. So we had to buy an $800 Knox box. Yeah. I don't like it, but that is what it is. So that's one thing that's off the thing now. Now, this FEMA thing to come along. There's a lot of goodness that can be done that. Keep this in mind. The boiler downstairs had a twin boiler. 3 years ago, that boiler went up. All right? These were installed in the early 90s. We don't know how much life's left in this other boiler. Could quit tomorrow, could quit 10 years from now. But with this FEMA grant, safety-wise, I'm putting on a wish list for them to have a new boiler. I have A.J. Michaels coming down this week to look at it. Also, the cooling tower is over 30 years old. The bottom pan leaks. I have been repairing it for 5 years. Metal rust. When water gets in it, when it rains, that is what it is. So I'm having them look at that too. They both work fine right now. But this is on a wish list of I think that we should get proposals for. And if we had to pay for it, go back 3 years when the one went up to replace it, they wanted almost 30 grand. That we didn't have.
And I just wanted to add one thing because I just wanted to thank Travis because he does a tremendous amount of work here out of the goodness of his heart, you know, and anything that we can save money on that he can do, that he does. And him and Calvin, like there's so many people that do so much here that, again, out of the goodness of their heart.
You know, this church has not been painted in over 40 years. Did everybody know that? That to me, that's amazing. And we've been doing a little bit at a time. We painted the narthex, I painted the back wall, and just hitting a little bit at a time. But I am betting that to have a contractor come in here to paint this would probably be around $18,000, $19,000. Just to do that, the bell tower, I think that was 30-something thousand. And I told him no. There's no reason for that. It's not peeling, it's all metal. This was all had to do with when we were selling the building next door. There couldn't be any peeling paint. So we got a price from a contractor to paint it. And then when we had a meeting, I said, it don't make no sense to do it because it's all metal and it's not peeling. They thought it was all peeling paint. And now it's just waiting on these proposals. I've called 7 concrete contractors to come out and look at the front porch. Yeah, not one of them's gotten back in touch with me yet. I've gone to Home Depot and trying talking to some of them guys. I'm sorry, I just couldn't understand their language.
If anybody personally knows anybody who does concrete work, that they can come as soon as possible and just give us a proposal for it.
This is a proposal for 2025. So this is something we are trying to push this, get the FEMA money for it. But of course, we got to have all proposals. Yeah. And that right there is where I stand. Well, with the exception of the upstairs water stains in this room. Yeah. I scraped all the peel and paint down about 3 months ago, but have not been able to kill those water stains yet. A little bit at a time. All right, everyone, that's where I stand, and that's what I got.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Dennis Moran and Son is also coming out this week to look at those doors, all 6 of these doors on East Avenue. Safety-wise, we're going to see if we can get some push bars put on them. The guy who came here from, was it the Border Protection place? Homeland Security. Suggested if we had an issue in here, the key to lock the doors when they're open is in that box over there. Where if we place the locks also, it just, at your own home, you just turn it and it's locked. Safety-wise. They were talking about that. And or, I know this isn't going to go over well with anybody, replace the doors with steel doors. And, I'd like everybody to think about that and give their opinion on what they think about having those doors replaced. Because I know, and me too, it's a sentimental value. It just makes the church look gorgeous.
Solid wood.
Yeah. But we'll see what Moran and Sons can come up with. But this door that was replaced down here was a little over $5,000.
For just 2 doors?
For 2 doors, yes.
Okay, so push bars, do you put that in the
Yes.
Yes, that's why we're getting a proposal.
Yes.
Yes, safety, yes. That's why I got them coming.
They're going to give
For
us
2 separate
for both.
proposals.
Yes. Yes. It's just a lot of people, during, when we were talking about this at the last council. When we were talking about this at the last council meeting, a lot of people were saying that the wooden doors, that's what makes it look like a church, but we also want to make sure that everybody is safe in the church, so,
Yeah.
and Travis said we could put wood grain paint on the, doors, so there's some things that we could do, but we just want to make sure that everybody is safe also. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The push bars would be on the ramp door and one on each of these double doors, if it goes that route. But please think about that, how you feel about the doors. Oh, and how you think about me.
Thank you, Travis.
Okay.
He's worked through a lot of personal illness coming down here by himself, going up on that thing.
Yeah.
I never went up on a ladder. No, I did not. No. Jesus lifted me up there.
All right, thank you very much, Travis. All right, so the next is the election of the council and endowment committee members. I want to thank everybody who is on the council. I've reached out to several people to see if they would like to be on the council because we do have openings. But in the January meeting, because our congregation used to be a lot larger, so we've always had 12 members on the council members on the council. We have a smaller congregation now, and it's very hard to find people who are able to commit their time to coming to the meetings, to helping with things with the church, because everybody has things going on in their lives. We understand that. So in the Reverend Marietta and Calvin have been working on revising the bylaws, and one of the things that they have revised on there is the number of people on the council, because we want it to be a realistic number. So it's not going to be 12 anymore. So we're going to go over that in January. But, if there's anybody who would like to volunteer to be on the council, we're more than welcome, or they're more than welcome. There's write-in on the back of this, on the back of the agenda for today. Myself, Ms. PM, Calvin, and Stephen are up for re-election, and the endowment committee, Joanne, Diane Price, and Susan Rao. I thank them all everybody for continuing to be on and helping, to do everything that you do. So if everybody could fill out their ballot, you can either put a check mark to the left if you would like the people who are on there, or you can also write in up to 4 to 6 candidates for the church council and 3 candidates for the endowment committee. And then Aiden's going to collect everybody's papers, voluntold. I'm borrowing that one from you.
I have a comment. First, I'm not volunteering. Secondly, when you're rephrasing the number of people on the council, you might consider using the words "at least."
Okay, yes.
That way, if
We would love to still have 12.
increase it later,
Yes.
you don't have to go through it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I would recommend using the words "at least 9."
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 6:30, the second Tuesday of every month.
Could be from 6:30.
6:30,
No, we have the 10 o'clock.
yeah. 6:30 in the evening. You need a pen? So like I said, if everybody could, we have a quorum with the people online and the people who are in the, we have 25 for a quorum to pass a ballot. So if everybody can fill that out, please, so we can count them. Yes, she said she will. She's online for Sunday. Okay. She said she's still going to do it, so you are. I'm sorry?
The left.
You just check them, check on the left. You just check the box on the left, or the to the left.
Aiden will come and collect them, and then...
And he gets another donut for doing this.
Dakota will pass out another agenda for you. So you'll have the agenda in front of you. So give everybody one.
Miss Joanne, can you do me a favor? Can maybe you and my mother just count and just check in?
Are you online? So Dakota has to give you a copy.
Are you
Just
online?
turned it in.
It says she's online. Your phone's probably online.
I need one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you still on Facebook? It's showing you're still online.
Dakota,
Gonna drain
give this to Miss Boardman.
Yeah, Miss Carol.
Ms. Carol.
What's wrong? Just grab her. Oh, my goodness.
So we voted, they voted.
We voted. That's what
And
that's what the ballot is on the back.
No, this was for the proposed budget.
Yes, and everybody passed.
Okay, so, just for the Robert Rules of Order, when we vote, and we say pass, did we ask, are there any questions?
Yeah, I did, and I also asked
Okay.
if there was anybody opposed. And
Okay,
everybody said-
yes.
And it was already, and
Okay,
I
thank
did
you.
online also, and everybody online said that they,
Thank
they
you.
were good, yes,
Thank you.
yes.
My man was probably blank.
And everybody online is saying it, so Betty, Nancy, Lori, and Mark are saying pass with no changes. And then, here's one, I don't know who it is, but somebody put it up here.
All right, 25, and then we have a write-in for Josh,
Okay.
and a youth one for Aiden. So what did I say, 25? All good, yep, everybody. Did you write that in, Aiden?
same builder who did the apartments next door and the ones across the street from me.
Okay, because they got new doors and it still looks like a church, and it still looks good. But I was thinking of
Just another agenda, because the ballot was on the back. So just another agenda.
But the one that you gave me already had check marks on it. You just picked it up from there? We don't have any more. So I gave it to them.
Okay, that's fine, okay.
Agenda.
It's, they're out. It's okay. So the council, the budget, I'm sorry, the ballot for the, let me see this real quick, I'm sorry. The ballot for the church council and the endowment committee, all the members that were on there have passed, and we're going to speak to Josh after church and see if he will be interested. I spoke to him last week, and he was going to think about it. And I harassed his brother this week and asked him to ask him also. So I wanted to, like I said, we'll speak to him after church. And if anybody else, like I said, maybe didn't want to step forward now and would like to be on the church council, please let us know, and we'd be happy to have you. We also have a write-in for Aiden, but there is an age limit on there. Sorry, bud. Yes, but he does give input. He loves to give input on when we're talking about things, you know, at home. But so I'm going to make a motion to accept the ballots that we got in. Everybody, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Any questions? Okay. So the next thing is the pastor's report. So the ballot on the back of the agenda has passed. So, you know. All right, Reverend Marietta.
Okay, this will be brief because you don't have anything to hold on to. No extra paper. So I want to thank you all for this really fast roller coaster year that I've had since being in Baltimore. It has been a pleasure, a humble experience that I'm having. When I had to tread through the water in the basement, I said, okay, my honeymoon is over. So as Brother Travis and Brother Calvin worked, and we worked through the cold and we worked through the rain, coming in and the water, that I said, okay, this is what a real pastor does. So I thank you for hanging in there with us. And then I learned how to fight BGE and other people in the city so that we can get some things done. And we made it through. I thank you for agreeing to have the Good Friday service. And I was grateful that there were positive comments that came behind that. And so everyone agreed that they wanted to have the Good Friday service again. So we will have students from Howard University that will be coming back. There'll be different students because some of them graduated. And we'll have Lancaster students that will be coming for Good Friday. So thank you all. I appreciate the fact that we had our picnic, and to see that Art Jones' family brought him so you all can see him. So that was just really such a blessing for me. As we continue, and I continue to do the little nudges, one thing about being a transitional minister, I appreciate your support and your love. And I do understand, and I know when that feeling of, why can't she stay? And I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But God uses all of us. We are called for such a special time as this. so that we can move into the 2025, and I can help celebrate with you a wonderful pastor that will be a settled pastor that will be on the way. And so as we work together to find that settled pastor, pray with us as we go along. Now, I may not be moving out of Baltimore right away, but you have to understand that the process for the intentional interim pastor is, once the settled pastor is approved by the council and the congregation, then I will be saying farewell. But I will come back and visit you 6 months later to say hello, because the new pastor would need for you all to have that building of that relationship. And so during the time of this year is still a transitional of heartfelt feeling for me as I transition you all and know that eventually there will be another person that will be settled here. And I'm grateful that the report that I'll be giving the Central Atlantic Conference, because I gave them a 6-month report when I was first here. And so they got that report. Now I have to give them another 6 months report to let them know that we're transitioning forward. And then they'll be able to see all the things that we have done leading up to that there was no way that the United Evangelical Church, UCC, in Canton was going to close. Amen? Amen. Hand praise, hand praise, hand praise. And so as we dig deep, and we are going to be digging deep, and I need your prayers on the FEMA application. The FEMA application actually wasn't going to be due until February. But because of a new administration, the government administration is changing, they felt we need to get it in right away. So that's why we have to get it in right away. And it's all about safety. You will hear me pressing the word safety because I will be volunteering some of you, if that's such a word, to help me with first responders when we are having, if anybody faints or we need to use our first aid kit that's in the back, we will have to go through that. So you have to let me know, is it good to go through this first responder kit and all that we're going to do a Sunday after church, or should we do it on a Saturday? It's up to you. You tell me. FEMA is very intentional and looking at us saying that we've already put into action safety protocols. So the detective was impressed that we had the security on the door here, and we had the monitors on the door. But he also, in his assessment, said, well, we don't have, your members don't know CPR. And remember, I was pushing for CPR, so you'll hear me talk about CPR again. And so, therefore, at the time, we had at least 8 people signed up. In order to do CPR, we needed 15 more people. So I'll come back to that list and I'll let you know, because they want to see that they were already thinking about security and that they're being active about it. They want us to understand, if you see something, say something. And so part of that grant includes, it's going to be rough, the detective said, it's 3 hours. It's a 3-hour class that as many congregation members, lay leaders, I have to attend, because that's part of what FEMA wants us to attend. And so that's part of us getting the money from them. And so we're hoping because each day it's changing. They said up to $200,000. Then I got another email that said now it's up to $210,000. So we're putting everything that we can include on that wish list. However, again, as I read the application says whatever's on the wish list, we have to have a proposal for. So when we're proposing for big ticket items, the steps outside, we have to have a proposal that will be attached to that application. So we're putting everything that we can possibly do for safety here. Another thing that the grant includes is a safety manager, and they will pay for a safety manager, and they will pay for security to come when we have a worship service because we're collecting money, security to come when we have bingo events. That's also under there, meaning that we don't have to pay extra. That's under that grant. Any questions about that? Yes, Reverend Fair.
Have you considered including an automatic electronic defibrillator?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Thank you for asking that because I did have Abby look into the AED, the defibrillator, and they had a grant for it. So when they sent it back to me, that I was excited, and they said, oh, you're approved. So the grant that they were giving us, and I thought I had read something wrong, so I said, is this right? Like the defibrillator costs like $28,000, and then it said, you've been approved for the grant, and the grant was for $200. And I said, was it a zero missing? So I called on the phone to make sure, and the lady said, no, it's $200, and then you all would have to pay the rest. So yes, we will be putting the defibrillator on that wish list for us. Yes, yes. And so that is one of the biggest accomplishments that I can see that we can get if we can get the FEMA grant to take care of a lot of the things that Brother Calvin just talked about, and we wouldn't have to use our own money. But again, the application came so fast, and we have to get it in so fast that we didn't have that time to wait until February. So I thank you again. You will see that the council will have some binders that Denise Glover, the new part-time secretary, is working on. And so the council will be working. That's when we start doing search and call. And I heard someone say, which you pray about this. They said, Pastor, don't you think we need to probably choose someone that have young children? Because we need some children in the church. And I said, that's all up to the congregation and up to the search and call committee when that is started. So we have sections that we will be doing, and we will be presenting information to you, and Sister Jennifer will bring all of that to you. And so, again, I was asked by Reverend Marvin Silver. Marvin Silver asked, Pastor Marietta, when I first met him in November when I came last year, he said, would you consider staying an extra year if they haven't gotten the search and call? And so I said, well, I wouldn't run away. I said, I just got here, so I don't know, but I wouldn't run away from you. So that's one thing that I want you all to know, that I'm not trying to run away from you. I'm trying to transition you. And if there's a need, the council would have to approve, and the congregation would have to approve for me to stay another year. But I would need to know that sooner than later, because my, the rental agreement, the lease, is up October 1st, 2025. And so October 1st, 2025 is when I would be moving from where I am now. And so they would need to know. So again, I am in it for you all to win it. And I'm going to be here until that transition is very, very smooth. I think that I would like for Reverend Stephen Fair and Mrs. Fair to talk about that 150 plus celebration for next year.
And I want to thank them for leading that. And I got Susan Rao gave me a couple things today that are wonderful from like the past celebrations that she found.
Okay, so we are excited that when we came back to town, when we just moved here a year ago after Pastor Fair retired, that you all have been around for over 150 years. And I said, so when are we having the party? And you all said, well, we didn't get that organized yet. And I said, well, we need to organize that. So we have had a committee, and we are working on the 150 plus anniversary of United Evangelical Church. So here's what we've got going so far, and I will have a sheet that maybe we can put in the bulletin as an insert for next Sunday on some of the events that we already have planned and organized somewhat, so you know what's coming up. So we're going to spend the whole next year, 2025, celebrating that United Evangelical Church, United Church of Christ, has had over 150 years of sharing faith, hope, and love with the Canton community. This is so cool. So here are some activities we have planned. In January 11th, we would like to have a murder mystery dinner, open to the public. Bring a dish to share or make a donation and solve the mystery. And donations for any of these events are going to go toward paying for the big celebration, which is coming up next September. And that's the big one you've already had the save the date flyer about. That's September 21st, 2025, special worship services at 10 a.m. and also at 3 p.m., or maybe it will move to 3:30. But anyhow, the afternoon service there, the conference and association ministers have already been invited to participate in that big service. There will be a catered dinner to follow. So that's what we're actually raising the money for, because we don't want to have a price for the dinner. I know that when we were here, and when Pastor Fair was the pastor here back in the late 80s, we had, I think, the 150th anniversary service, and we had something like that. Anyway, we had a catered dinner off-site, and some people couldn't attend because it was rather expensive. So the more money we can raise ahead of time to go toward this, we'll be able to pay for the catered dinner, which I'd like to have downstairs in our fellowship hall right after that service in the afternoon of September 21st, 2025. Any more on that specifically?
Yes, actually. I've already made contact with the acting area conference minister, Reverend Craig Peterson, who has committed to being here on the September 21st. I have put a phone call into our conference minister, the Reverend Freeman Palmer, who had an accident a while ago and broke his leg severely and surgically repaired, and he's recovering from that. I understand he's hoping to come back to his duties on or about January. So I'm going to contact him again back at that time, and they would be our preacher and celebrant at that service, plus a speaker at the dinner afterward. Are you going to get into the videos?
Yeah, I have a whole report here.
Okay.
Okay, so I've told you about the murder mystery dinner in January. February February 22nd, we're looking at having a movie night here at the church, also free and open to the public. Bring some snacks to share. We will probably have hot dogs, popcorn, and drinks for sale. And following the movie, some discussion with Reverend Marietta and Pastor Fair, because they are both movie buffs, as you know. And so they're going to pick a movie that they'll have some discussion about. And so we would like to make this kind of an ongoing event, so we'll have more movie nights, but that's the one we have already on the calendar.
If I can just real quickly say, I used to run a program in my last church called Christ in the Movies, and we would look for theological themes in secular movies, and we would discuss. I would suggest, here's what you look for. Then we'd show the film, and then we'd discuss it afterward. And I'm looking maybe for something like that.
Another event we have already kind of in the works is a bus trip to Sight and Sound, and Pam will talk a little bit more about that. That'll be in the spring. It's either going to be March 29th or April 5th, and it will be a bus trip to Sight and Sound in Lancaster, Pennsylvania to see the production of Noah and the Ark. Dinner at the Hershey Inn is included, so it's bus trip, show, and dinner. Here you go, Pam.
The gentleman, James Wall's been out of town. Hopefully I will be in contact with him Tuesday. We're not sure if it's spring, it may be fall, but they don't have the new pricing for 2025, but I've been there several times. You know, Carol, how it's magnificent that they drag out the walls backwards and it's all open up just like this, but huge. The scenery is fabulous, and Hershey Farms restaurant had a fire. They have rebuilt it, and I was talking to David from the Gunther bus company. He said it's open, it's glassy and airy and just gorgeous. So hopefully, he and I will work together to do the bus, the show, and the dinner, all you can eat. And it's very good there also. And hopefully next meeting I'll have better, confirming information about it. But anybody says anything, what do you want for Christmas? Say money towards the ticket. I'm not quite sure. I think the last time I went, I think it was like $160, $168. But for the 3 things you get, and we're going to open this up to anyone, not just our congregation, because I've already talked to people down the senior center. Yeah. So, yes, yeah. Thank you.
So all these events are celebrating events, and they're also fundraisers for the big day, the big celebration day with the dinner and so forth. Additional fundraisers. So we would like to order T-shirts. So hopefully by next week we'll have an insert in your bulletin, something like this, because this is from a St. John's UCC that's selling T-shirts, and we're going to do something similar. So we will have T-shirts. We are also going to be selling Christmas balls. We are also to go on your tree with the United Evangelical Church logo on them. Coffee mugs, also with the United Church of Christ, the United Evangelical Church logo on them. So we'll have all those little items that would make great Christmas presents, and they will help raise money toward our big celebration. We are also thinking about doing a video history project of United Evangelical Church. What that means is we're going to be doing some interviews of some significant people. We're going to start with Amelia Lamb because she is 101 years old, so a lot of her history coincides with things that have happened at United Evangelical Church. She was baptized here. She had her confirmation here. She was married here. Her parents died and their funerals were here. So a big part of her family, and I know a lot of you can relate to this, a lot of your family celebrations have happened here at this church, and so part of the celebration of the 150 years and more that this church has shared go into that family. So we have, the idea is to do interviews with certain people, and then we will put these together as small videos, like 5-minute videos that we can share on the announcements, and we can all put it together as a big video to share at the dinner on the day of the celebration. So we would like to have a couple of former pastors who are still living also be interviewed, and a couple of other significant members of the congregation to be interviewed. And you know who I'm looking at here.
So if we come to you,
And ask you
don't say no.
Oh, you can't say no to this guy, right? So that's part of our celebration project, is to have this video history project of United Evangelical Church. We are united.
Better yet, if you want to preempt us,
And volunteer.
come up and volunteer to be interviewed.
So any questions, or we would love to have more help with all this. So anytime you want to come and help out with any of these projects, please talk to me after church.
Send me as much information as you can about all of these events as early as possible so I can start doing advertising for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was kind of like my other thought is if anybody has any contacts with the media, since we'll be having our big 150 plus anniversary celebration, I think this needs to be a media event. Any other comments, questions, ideas?
Thank you very much, Pastor Fair and Miss Kathy Fair. And under new business, does anybody have anything else for old business? So for new business, Reverend Marietta already touched mainly on it. For the beginning for the search and call process in January, we're going to be asking for volunteers for a committee to start the search and call process for a called pastor. And like I said, we'll speak more about that at the January meeting. And does anybody have any questions regarding anything from today? All right, so it is, what time is it? And Reverend Marietta wanted me to just mention how many, like all the hats and gloves that we collected, just to point out how many that we've collected. We're going to keep a lot of children safe and warm this winter. Did you have something else, Travis? Okay. Yes, and the Hoffman Homes Project. Thank you for all the donations that have come in. We've almost reached our goal already. Thank you very much for the donations that have come in for that. So if there's no other questions or comments and nothing came in online. Yes.
Do you have any idea of the attendance for next week?
Yes, I have a list. And also, if anybody online or in here, again, she wasn't here during the service, so if anybody else has, knows of anybody else who's coming that may not be here today, please let me know, because we have to give the count to Steve Jankowitz for the food, and I want to thank him and his family for Sunsoul Sunday, yes, for next Sunday. As right now, I have 43 on the list, but Calvin and I were discussing, and we were thinking maybe upping it to just being prepared for 60. That way, in case we have, because I've talked to Abby this week, and she hasn't had anybody inquire at the office, but sometimes we have kind of like last minute, somebody will say, hey, can I come? Which is always fine, but we just want to make sure that we have enough for everybody. And Reverend Marietta already ordered the cake, and that's going to be ready on Saturday, right? It's for pickup on Saturday. Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say that next Sunday, yesterday we had the new members, returning members class yesterday. We had a lot of fun. Reverend Fair was present, and he had wonderful stories, and we all laughed and went to space at the same time. And so you have to ask him about the spaceship type of brain teaser that I had for everyone. So we will have 3 members next week during our service. One is a brand new two are brand new members that we're accepting in, and one is a returning member that we will be accepting in. So they will be able to be welcomed, and we'll have that in our bulletin in there so that we can welcome them and they can get their certificates and their Bible. So I thought it was going to be today, but then I forgot about our congregational meeting. That would have been too much. So they have a week to study more questions. And so they were really, really excited about that. So I praise God for, even if it's one person that joins, even if it's one visitor that comes, we see that there are some visitors that are returning. And so I praise God for that, because God is still moving. Amen.
Amen. And I think we've had, 10 new members in the last year?
We had seven.
Seven.
Seven this year.
Yeah. And then, but then we have, how many were just at the class yesterday?
3.
So 10, right? Yeah, so 10 total, which is great. Did anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, so I'm going to call the meeting adjourned. It's 12:57, Alyssa. And at the end of every council meeting, we say the Lord's Prayer, so I'm going to end everything. If we can all recite the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, everybody online for staying, and thank you, everybody in the sanctuary for staying. And if anybody has any questions or anything afterwards, just feel free to ask. Thank you.
And can we give the council a hand praise? Our president, Jennifer, a hand praise. Calvin, a hand praise. Miss Pam, Brother Travis, Stephen, Miss Patty. There are many. Miss Alyssa, a hand praise for all that they have done. No, they have never missed a meeting. They were always there, and I love your president. One more time, hand praise.